The following is a special presentation of Tony Kurre Radio.
Welcome back to Tony Kurre Radio. Get that TKR app. Like 100,000 folks have already done so. 18 different podcasts. And sometimes I just feel like doing a podcast with a friend. And sometimes I run into that friend. I'm like, we need to talk about your life and your experiences. That would be Mr. Bruce Ayers, formerly of the comedy club Stardome, which of course he just sold last week. Formerly. I know, I hate to say, I know your fingers are still in the pie a little bit. I know you're helping them out and certainly doing the transfer of powers. But you've been with the comedy club Stardome for 4 decades. So I welcome you. And I just had lunch a couple of days ago. It's great to see you, my friend. How are you?
Tone, I'm great, but I want to say something about you. I remember when Tony first came to town, and I swear, Tony, you just rocked it. I mean, you were the best DJ, the best show. If I put somebody on that show, I was absolutely selling out. And you were the man, you are the man, and will be the man for quite some time. I mean, we've had so much fun over the years, but tons of respect for you and everything you did, and you're continuing on. So I couldn't be more proud to be Tony Kurre's buddy.
Well, thank you very much. The feeling is very, very mutual. You know how I feel about you and your family. Let's take me back to March 12th, 13th, 14th, 1993. Tell me what was going on in that little stretch there, and just kind of take me through your day. And then, of course, I saw you walking down Green Springs Highway, but just kind of go through emotionally what you were feeling that particular day.
All right, well, let's start with the day before.
Okay.
First of all, Carrot Top, which I think everybody should probably know who Carrot Top is, but he was just at a point in his career where he was opening act, middle act, started headlining. Now he's starting to get some attention. And the big thing for comedy and comedians back then, if you can get invited to perform on the Tonight Show with Jay Leno, that was a milestone that everybody was shooting for, because once you got there, bigger offers are coming in. So it's a big deal. So anyway, I got Carrot Top booked at the club. Your radio station had a remote on that Friday morning. Mm-hmm. Lori Grimes and the whole crew. Oh. We had a remote with Carrot Top, and it was awesome. We were sold out for the weekend. And Lori, God bless her soul, who was so cool, she took a picture walking in that day, and you can see the picture's still in my office, picture of snow coming down. Mm-hmm. So we had no idea. So anyway, we're sold out. Me and Dina, my daughter, were so excited, and all of a sudden, snow.
Yeah.
They shut the highway down. So, we had no choice. And so, we did like everybody else in Birmingham did. We got some whiskey, got some beer, went to my house, had a party. Mm-hmm. And now anybody who remembers that snowstorm, I mean, it was incredible. I mean, it was lightning.
Yeah.
Excuse me for a minute. My wife is trying to bug me.
Oh, that's all right. Tell her said hi.
Hang on.
Cheech?
What's up?
What's up, baby? How are you?
I'm good.
Congratulations. Don't keep him around the house too much. Kick his ass out. Make him do something in the yard or something.
You know I will.
So here's the note you gave me. Didn't he stay on a billboard for days?
Yes, I did.
All right.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did. And one of your comedians, Paul Reiser, came up and sat with me for a couple hours one day. We did a show up there with Paul Reiser from Mad About You.
It was awesome. All right, back to the story. So the storm was horrible. There was nobody on the streets. Well, we had this nice party. We wake up the next day, and it was gorgeous. I mean, the snow was like 3 feet deep where I live, and I mean, it was just beautiful. So about 7:30, I get a call from the Homewood Fire Department, and they go, "Bruce, we got bad news." And we got really bad news. I go, "What?" "Your club's on fire. We're having a hard time getting there."
Oh.
So just think about that for a minute. Everything, your whole life is in that building. Not your whole life, but your business life.
Sure.
And I'm just going, Oh my God. Oh my God. I got to get there. So, what I couldn't drive because 3 feet of snow, but that wasn't the worst part. There was trees all the way down Shades Crest Road.
Mm-hmm.
So I started walking and walking. And back then I had a cell phone. You remember those cell phones that were about
Yeah.
this? Had one of,
Yeah.
and so the radio stations started calling me because they heard I was walking down the street, and they were going, "Hey man, what's going on?" And it was awful. But what happened was everybody started listening. I guess they had nothing else to do. And I'm walking down Shades Crest, and people are coming out with hot chocolate. They were doing this, doing this.
Yeah.
So finally, Scott Richards from Channel 6 called and said, "We're going to send a truck to get you up by Burt's on the Bluff," which was about, I don't know, 3 miles from my house. Took me about 3.5, 4 hours to get there. They picked me up. I went
Nice.
down there, and I don't know if for anybody who's never seen a picture, just think of a building, and then the next time you see it, it's flat, burnt out, and that's what it looked like. There was like nothing left. And I'll never forget this. When I got down there, Brenda Ledun, sweetest lady in the whole world, she was there to interview me, and she was so compassionate. And we're all crying our eyes out because, oh my God. And so lost everything we had, except there was one thing that made it through: the cigarette machine.
This, of all
Don't,
things.
why? Don't ask me why, but the cigarette machine made it.
And
So
that included all the props for who?
for Carrot Top.
Yeah.
Okay, so continuing on with the Carrot Top part of this. So Carrot Top, I had to call him, and at first he goes, "Oh man," and then it hit him. He lost his whole act.
Oh, yeah.
So he had to call Jay Leno. So he calls Jay Leno Monday morning and goes, "Hey Jay, I am so sorry, but I can't come up there. I can't be on the show tomorrow. I have no act. It got burnt up in comedy club in Birmingham." So Jay goes, "Okay." So, or whatever he said. I don't know exactly what he said, but
And
anyway,
wasn't that his first time on Jay Leno's show?
but it was his initial
Yeah,
visit.
it's his first
So
time.
anyway,
Yeah. Wow.
on Monday, Jay Leno, and I quote, "Yeah, we're supposed to have this kid Carrot Top, but all this stuff got burnt up in this rinky-dink comedy club." And then when that happens, all these guys that knew me and knew Carrot Top called Jay and said, "Hey man, that was a pretty cool club." Well, the next day, Cheech and I come back in after talking to the fire department, and all they had back then, we had answer machines. So here's the message on my machine. "Hey, Bruce, it's Jay Leno. Listen, first of all, I really apologize for what I said yesterday. I heard from all these people you got a great club. Hey, listen, if you ever reopen the club, I promise you I'll do some local commercials for you."
Wow.
And so this was, I don't know, 6 months later, Jay Leno on the Tonight Show, just for us, for
Yeah.
"Hey, ladies and gentlemen, I want to let you know that Bruce and Cheech are going to reopen their comedy club. And listen, you got to go. You just got to go, because guess what? He told me personally he's not going to burn this one down." So
That is awesome.
So, but the whole point of that was, then Carrot Top went on and became mega star. He's still in Vegas. I mean, it could be, I think, if not the longest run ever in Vegas, it's
Yeah.
close to it. And I went to see his show about a year ago, and let me tell you, Tony, it is rocking. It's not just all props. The thing about Carrot Top, he was really smart. I
Mhm.
mean, you might not think so because of the red hair and all that stuff, but the guy's brilliant. He really is, and his comedy is excellent. And no, dear friend, and he's still there, kicking butt.
Yeah, no doubt. So that was 1993. When did, because I got there in 88, when was the comedy aspect of what you do, when did it start to rise? Because I mean, comedy's kind of gone in cycles, right? And at some point, comedy got really, really hot again. When was that before the burning or after the burning? After you started the comedy club Stardome, and when it did, what tipped you off to say, okay, we're about ready to go through a cycle here?
Well, you never know that going in. You don't think of cycles, you don't think of this. It's just that, when I came up with the idea to do the club, I thought the idea was good, of the idea of people going out on dates, someplace to go, make it nice. And that was something to do. And it was comedy. When I first thought of comedy, I thought it was cool,
Yeah,
but I didn't know much about it.
yeah.
Okay, so when I first opened the club, nobody knew. The only people you knew about comedy was from the Tonight Show with Johnny Carson or Ed Sullivan, and there was very few people you could name. So when I first opened the club, I had a big sign on the Red Mountain Expressway. This is opening night. I put Joan Rivers not appearing, just to give them the idea.
Yeah.
So when we first started, the first segment or the first cycle was just all these guys that you didn't know. And they were good, but nobody knew what to expect. And so it was kind of like, we used to call it selling the sign. What I was selling to get you in was this experience. There's these guys who are going to make you laugh. It's something new. So that was the start of it. And that's the way it was for the first month. But then on Thanksgiving week of the first year, the guy who was helping me book the club says to me, he goes, listen, you got to go get this guy, big African American guy. He's coming in on a bus. Everything he owns, he's carrying with him. So I said, all right. So I go down and pick this guy up. You ever meet somebody, as soon as you meet him, it's like that you've been friends forever?
Yeah.
That was this guy and me. So we go there to the club, and the first night that he's there, there's a friend of mine, new audience. So I just go up to him. I said, hey, can you say happy birthday to a friend of mine? Yeah, his name is Andy Forsiglio. And him and his dad own the Piggly Wiggly stores. That's all I said.
Yeah.
So he goes up there, Tony, and off the top of his head, there's 30 minutes on Piggly Wiggly that nobody's ever heard. He came up over the top of his head. The crowd's going nuts because they could relate.
And who are you talking about? You still haven't said who you're talking about.
I told you, it was Sinbad.
It was. Mm-hmm.
So Sinbad, everybody started going, who's that guy at the comedy club? Who's that guy? So he kind of became our star. So he was the only star I had then. And I booked him like 12 weeks the first year. But then came James Gregory, Ollie Joe Prater, Tim Allen.
Linus Henderson. Oh, man, I remember all those guys.
This was before them. So
Yeah.
these guys started going, if they're there, word of mouth, and then we come back. So it stayed like that probably for 4 or 5 years. You're trying to develop a new act. So then Sinbad's going nuts doing all these movies. And I'm thinking, man, I got to find another star. And, it's not like I sat down with a piece of paper, who's my next star? It just kind of happens,
Yeah, sure.
So me and Cheech met this guy who was coming. He was from Cleveland. And we liked him, and he was pretty good. He only had 2 shirts and 2 pairs of pants. But before he went on stage, he ironed the hell out of everything, looked sharp. So that guy happened to be Steve Cleveland and Steve Harvey.
Yeah. He's pretty sharp now. He's pretty sharp now.
So anyway, he headlines, and he goes absolutely through the roof. But it was only in Birmingham. All the other places he was playing, he didn't make that connection yet.
Was that when he was doing the Mike Tyson thing?
Yeah. I tell you, that happened.
Oh, man. That was so funny.
So, I mean, he just went through the roof. So he became a star. So now as time goes on with TV and HBO and everything, now you're starting to see comics on TV. So now we're booking a sign, but we're also booking this guy you saw on HBO. Hey, here's that Steve Harvey guy who was at Birmingham, and now he's hosting Showtime at the Apollo. James Gregory selling out the whole week. So you started selling the names. But then when Steve and DL and Bernie Mac and Sid did the Kings of Comedy, changed everything. I mean, they were selling out arenas and arenas and arenas, and all these other guys they brought on the show with them, were following with that. And the guy who followed him was Ricky Smiley, who's a local guy, who Cheech found him in an open mic at the club. So he started to become pretty good, and I introduced him to Steve, and Steve takes him out on the tour with him.
Wow.
Gets him on the radio, bada bada bang. So in the 90s, it started being name acts: Jeff Foxworthy, Ron White, Larry the Cable Guy, and all these guys. So now you're booking not so much the room, people are getting more specific as to the type of comedy they want to see. Used to be, I'll go to see anybody. But after all the stuff on TV, it's kind of like picking a movie. You go on, you look at the previews. Yeah, I like this movie. I don't like this one. Let's go to this one. So it became more selective. But what it was, there was more people who were interested. So that's how all of that evolved.
I had a very good friend of mine, Michael Coleman, who I'm going to be doing a show with a little bit later on this year. And he just got back from Atlanta. And I said, who'd you go to see? He said, oh, I went and saw Ron White. And I said, really? I said, oh, man, my gosh. I said, I haven't seen him. And so then I was telling him my story that when Ron and I had a night out together one evening, and then he was supposed to be on the Rick and Bubba show the next morning and showed up, and they didn't want to have anything to do with him. And you about railed my ass that afternoon. What the fuck are you doing with my comedian? So I'm like, dude, I didn't know. That was nice. All I know is there was a damn limo outside the hotel at 6:30 in the morning, and I had a Jack and Coke in my hand. I was like, I'm not going anywhere. And he's like, you can stay here. And we had a great time. Bruce Ayers just sold the comedy club Stardome, a beautiful place for over 4 decades. He's been doing his thing. He's been nice enough to join us here on Tony Kurre Radio and, of course, our podcast series. We're available on every major industry out there, Audacity, Visa, and everything else. So wherever you get your favorite podcasts, you can find us. Give me a good, because I several people knew that I was going to talk to you. Give me a name act. Give me someone big. Give me a good story that you had with someone that you went out and tied one up with. Because everyone knows that you knew Robin Williams and you knew all these people, these famous people, and just give me a good story.
All right. Of all these years, thousands of acts, everybody, I got starstruck one time. The one guy who really I got starstruck by was Tommy Chong.
Really?
When I was in college, it was Cheech and Chong. I mean, it was just Cheech and Chong. They were Dave's not here, man. I mean, that was my face, all of us guys. So I remember I book him and I have to go pick him up at the airport. And I'm driving him from the airport and I'm thinking to myself, that's Tommy Chong. Holy shit. John. And it just, and he was a great guy. And, just so happens my wife's name is Cheech. So man. A picture of Cheech and Chong, but Tommy and his wife, they would come, we would hang out. I mean, really loved them. But there's so many guys.
And real quick, one of the greatest days I ever had on the air.
Yes.
Tommy Chong came up to the radio station. I was doing one of my stunts where I was going to jump with a donkey out the Alabama State Fair, out of the State Fairgrounds, the old fairgrounds. Be all right. And I was going to jump 30 feet into 3 feet of water, the dumbest damn thing I've ever done. I messed my back up and everything because they had this jumping mule. And I was like, well, hell, I'll jump with a mule. And Tommy gets on and they put the farmer on the air, and oh my gosh, I put it on whenever I was trying to get a job in New York or wherever. I always put that part of it. People were like, did you have Tommy Chong on the air with you? I'm like, yeah, listen to what he says to the farmer. Oh my God, it was so funny. And I mean, it was so off the wall. And Tommy's like, you're doing what now? And it was one of the funniest moments I'll ever forget. Normally, if me jumping into a swimming pool live on the air, that's enough for like a year of shows. That's enough. Throw in Tommy Chong sitting in the studio, giving the play-by-play. It was crazy. It was insane. It was great.
But over the years, there's so many of these guys. Like one of the guys who's been coming since about 1985 is Henry Cho.
Mhm.
Henry Cho, one of the greatest guys ever. And, we've had great times together. A guy named Finus Henderson. Finus, his godfather was Sammy Davis Jr. He probably put on
I
one of
didn't
the
know
most
that.
incredible. Yes, you didn't know that.
Oh, great singer. God, you get both of them can
You
sing.
know why? His dad was Sammy's manager.
Wow.
My dad was Sammy's manager. He
I
used
never
to
knew.
show me pictures of him as a little boy sitting in his kitchen with Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, Sammy Davis, his dad, and he had it in his blood. I met him in Vegas, and we brought him. He became one of our greatest friends, and his show out of this world.
Yeah.
We've had so many shows and so many guys, and it's been great, man. It
No,
has been awesome.
that's fantastic. So occasionally you would have an opportunity to get, well, whether it be a Paulie or maybe a Seinfeld or someone big. And several people have asked me the questions, why didn't you bring in some big super? I said one of the reasons you didn't have to. You didn't have to bring in Seinfeld, and by the time you paid Jerry, you'd have to charge $300 a ticket to make any money. So, what was the difference, and who did you choose when you wanted to step out and go big? Because you have gone big
Oh,
before.
I mean, it doesn't work that way. How it works is if the guys are going out or the guys want to come and work on new material. It's like Chris Rock.
Yeah.
I don't know how many years ago it was, but the year before, somebody said, "Hey, you ever think you'd have Chris Rock, or you ever think you'd have this guy or that guy?" And I said, "You know what? I don't know, because you never say no in this business, because you never know who's going to call." So we got a call from Chris Rock's agent. He wanted to work on some new material, and it was just so cool to have him there. And even recently, Nate Bargatze, came to the club twice. How
Yeah.
cool is that?
Oh
Putting an
man.
invitation to, there's hardly anybody bigger right at this moment. Leanne, she's been at the club. She came to the club for 20 years before she ever made it big. But we had all those people. But there's people that, if you said to me, who are some of the very best, it's like, let me tell you the Mitch Hedberg story.
Oh yeah.
To me, Mitch Hedberg, it was such an incredible guy. He had his problems. But the first time he came, Tony, he came with a guy who had a stand-up bass. Boom, 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 and he was doing all of these jokes to that bass. An escalator never breaks. It only becomes stairs. Thanks for the convenience. But he was so cool. So one time, I named, or to this day, if you go to the Stardome, the cheeseburger is called the Mitch Hedberger. So he did this promo for me. He goes, "Hey man, if you're here to see me, I know you got the munchies. So what you need to do, you need to look on the menu. See that right there? That says Mitch Hedberger. If you got the munchies, they named the cheeseburger after me. Get you one." But stuff like that, and probably another question people ask me: who was the funniest guy ever?
Yeah.
And it's very, very subjective and whatnot. But back in the early, early days, there was a guy named Ollie Joe Prater.
Oh yeah.
If I had to pick just one guy, it was Ollie Joe.
Man, he was something
Not
else.
only the fact that I love the guy, he just, people would come running out of the showroom bent over laughing so hard. I can't take it. I can't take it. And then Ollie, his real name was Gilbert Herzog. He was from Michigan, but he was out in LA. He was working at the Comedy Store. So I'm just in it. I don't know crap about any of these big acts. He goes to me, he goes, I'll tell you what, you come out to LA and I'll take you to the Comedy Store, meet Mitzi and all that. So I go out there. Me and Cheech, and they treated us like kings.
Wow.
Mitzi embraced us, and it was all this stuff. And then we just learned so much about the business. That's where we met Etta May, Carlos Mencia. I mean, so we had.
Didn't Mitzi have a home or something where the comedian stayed? It was up at
Right. That's where Ollie Joe lived. So if you ever go to the Comedy Store, it's really cool. It's right on Sunset Boulevard. It's an iconic place. They got names of all the guys out on the wall. Not all the guys, but if you get your name on that wall, that's something.
Yeah.
But the parking lot where everybody comes in, where all the guys are hanging out, was a club. I mean, I tried to model some of the things we did on our scale, to what they did. And,
crazy things happen at that club.
I saw Richard Pryor there, and it's awesome. So that was part of the learning process growing up.
One final question, because whenever I was doing morning radio, and we're still blowing and going, man, whenever we had a loss of life, and it was a comedian, obviously you'd be the first one. Thank goodness it didn't happen a lot. I remember when Robin Williams committed suicide. What is one comedian that is no longer with us that you really miss, that you really, whether it's George Carlin, whether it's someone who's from old age? I know you mentioned Mitch, and obviously he's left us way too early, but was there one comedian that really hit you hard when they left us?
Yeah. James Gregory.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
James was, he was incredible. Incredible. And everybody loved James. And, he did so much for us in Birmingham. We loved Birmingham. It was James. It was Tim Wilson. Tim
Wilson. Yeah, wow.
Tim Wilson was supposed to be at our club the week that he died. So was James. But those are the ones that hit me the most. Losing James was tough on me, but everybody, because he was such a good guy.
Oh my gosh, he would come in the studio and, would have those red glasses, and he'd be wearing some funky suit or something at 6:30 in the morning. And I'll never forget. And he invited me to his house for his Christmas party. He had a hell of a Christmas party every year.
He had Christmas parties, Tony, for probably 25 years. His house in Atlanta. Oh my God. I think it used to belong to the guy who owns Home Depot or something, but it was the most incredible house. And he'd have all these parties of all the comics. I mean,
it was crazy. Yeah. And had himself a big ass heart bed. I know because I lied in it. He's like, yo, you need to go up and see my bedroom. And I said, you know what? I do need to see your bedroom. And I was, I went up there and he's like, you need to lie down in this bed. And I was like, I don't know if I feel real comfortable doing that, James. And I just loved him. We just had the best time, man. Oh my gosh. Oh, the stories just, I'm so glad I wouldn't have gotten an opportunity to do that if I hadn't been in radio. And obviously you hadn't gone through a fire. And I mean, because I truly believe that God's got a plan. His plan is perfect and everything happens for a reason. And it just turned out so doggone well for you. And I'm just so happy that now you get a chance to I know you're not done. I doubt you're going to be sitting down at Lynn Park playing chess with your old friends feeding pigeons. So I know you're going to get yourself into something else, but please keep in touch. Let me know what's going on, will you?
I will. One more thing I want to say.
Yeah, buddy.
Every time anybody, thinks of the Stardome, they always thought of me. But it wasn't just me. It was my family. It was Cheech, Gina, Dina, my daughter Sheena, who passed away, my son-in-law Rodney. I mean, we started out as a family business, I guess. but it turned into a family legacy. And, that was the greatest part of this whole deal for me, was doing it with them. So, and meeting guys like you and Andy, and I could go on forever, but thanks for having me on, Tone. I really appreciate it.
Love you, brother. Keep in touch, man. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, Tone. Thank you. Bye-bye.
This has been a special presentation of Tony Kurre Radio.